Good morning. Today is Sunday, March 9th, 2025. This year, Purim falls on Friday, this coming Friday, Thursday night and Friday. And I want just briefly to mention there are a couple of differences in the way that we observe Purim when it falls on Friday. The primary one is as follows. The time for the Purim Seudah should be early in the day. What we're trying to do is balance two priorities. There's a priority to have a Purim Seudah, to have a celebratory meal that is joyous, celebratory, delicious, filled with Torah and singing. But at the same time, we don't want that to take away from our honoring Shabbos. So we want to make sure that we have an appetite when Friday night comes and Shabbos comes, and we want to make sure that we're honoring Shabbos properly. So the best way to do that is to have the Purim Seudah early in the day, brunch or lunchtime, or at least to start by about 1 o'clock or so that there is ample time between the Purim Seudah and the Shabbos dinner Seudah in the evening, and to make sure that we are paying the proper attention and respect to both of those. There are some people who have the practice on a Purim like this to do the Purim Seudah late in the day and to have it go into Shabbos. So, especially in Israel, this is common. Some people here do this as well. According to all authorities, it is preferable not to do that, and the preferable thing is to have the Purim Seudah early in the day. If a person has a different custom, they want to follow a different opinion, be blessed and have a joyous Purim, either way. In the Purim Megillah, Mordechai learns about the decree that Haman formulated and had Achashverosh accept to, God forbid, kill all the Jews. Mordechai hears about it, and he tells a messenger to send word to Esther, because Esther is already now the queen. She's inside the palace. And Mordechai says that Esther needs to go to Achashverosh and to plead to save her people. Esther responds and says, well, I can't do that, because everyone knows that just to appear before the king, Achashverosh, without being summoned, a person could be killed for such a thing, and I have not been summoned. Vayomer Mordechai la'ashiv el Esther. Mordechai sends back a message to Esther. Al tadami b'nafshech lihimolei beis hamelech mikol haYehudim. Do not imagine that you will be able to escape just because you're in the king's palace, any more than all the other Jews. Meaning, what is being planned is going to affect you also. Because if you remain silent at this time, there will be triumph and victory for the Jewish people that will come from a different source. But va'at ubeis avich tovedu. But you and your family will be lost. It's a very strange paragraph, because if Mordechai is trying to induce Esther to go to speak to Achashverosh, his reasoning seems a little unusual. He says to her, no, you have to go to Achashverosh to plead on behalf of the Jewish people. And then he says, why? Why do you have to do it? Because if you don't do it, someone else will do it. Well, that's odd. If you're trying to induce someone to do something, and you tell them, if you don't do it, someone else will do it. Okay, so why should I do it if someone else will do it? It doesn't seem like a line of reasoning that would induce, that would motivate Esther to do what Mordechai wants her to do? You may remember that there is a classic answer to this question that I have shared with you before from Rabbi Aaron Lichtenstein. It's a very important classic answer, but today we want to discuss a different topic, a different answer, a different approach. And let me start here. Last week I had the tremendous privilege to attend a rabbi's conference sponsored by Yeshiva University. And it was a wonderful opportunity not only to meet with colleagues and to get inspiration from colleagues, but also to learn a tremendous amount of Torah from wonderful Torah teachers. And I have so much that I want to share with you over the next days and weeks and months that I learned from this conference. And today, I want to share just one small piece that I learned from Rabbi David Stav. Now, it's remarkable that he was one of our guests. Rabbi David Stav, as you may know, is the rabbi who is the founder and the head of Tzohar, which is an amazing, incredible rabbinic organization in Israel. And he came to our conference in Florida. And he was asked to address the following question. What do Israeli rabbis want now from North American rabbis? We're, over a year and a half since October 7th, 2023? What do Israeli rabbis hope that North American rabbis will be doing? What kind of support? What are the priorities that they feel that we should have to support our brothers and sisters in Israel? Rabbi Stav was asked to address this question. Of course, he is the perfect person to address it because he has his pulse on the Israeli rabbinate. And I want to share with you very briefly part of what he said. Let's start here. The Talmud says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, Atem karim Adam, you, the Jewish people, are called Adam. Adam is a word, of course, it's the Hebrew word for the name Adam, but the word Adam in the Torah means person. You are called Adam. Ve'ein umas ha'olam karim Adam. But the nations of the world are not called Adam. There are several words that are used to mean a person, a member of mankind, a human being. You could say Adam, you could say Ish, you could say Enosh. They're different words. But Adam, that word, is used only in reference to the Jewish people and is not used in reference to non-Jews. Now, the simple way to understand that line in the Talmud is a little bit negative, in that maybe the word Adam is a very respected name, a very dignified name, and we only refer to Jewish people with this dignified name, and non-Jewish people, we're not referring to them with this respected, dignified name. We will use the word Ish, use the word Enosh, but Adam is reserved just for the Jewish people. Okay, that's a little bit pejorative. And it certainly does not describe in any way a normative approach to the way we look at the world and the people in the world. I want to share with you from Rabbi Stav the approach of Rabbi Meir Shapiro. It means something completely different. The word Adam, which means person, human being, is singular. What's the plural of Adam in Hebrew? There is no plural. There is no plural form of the word Adam. The Jewish people are called Adam because we form one singular entity. It's not a pejorative about the rest of the nations of the world. but it is a comment about the way every single Jew in the world feels about every single other Jew in the world, which is that every single Jew in the world feels the hurt, the pain of any other Jew in the world, because we are a singular entity, Adam. What happens to a Jew anywhere happens to me. It's not the news. It's not them. It's not they who were attacked, or they who are hostages, or they who are murdered, or they who are released. It's us. It's me. And that is what our attitude should be, Rabbi Stav said. Now, the truth is that this is very accurate in an extremely practical sense. October 7th affected every single Jew in the world directly, both in terms of anti-Semitism that we've experienced here in Montreal and around the world, which has gotten so much worse in the aftermath of October 7th, ironically, and in terms of the Jewish spiritual awakening, which is happening in Israel and all over the world, and here in Montreal. It affects us directly. But the attitude we should have, so what Rabbi Stav is saying is that what he wants from rabbis outside of Israel is that we should feel it's not happening to them, it's happening to me. We have tried to communicate this and discuss this repeatedly since October 7th, and we will continue to do so. And Rabbi Stav is saying that's one of the most important things that we need to do, this sense that it's happening to us. What kind of motivation is it that Mordechai is giving to Esther? What Mordechai is saying to Esther is as follows. With Haman's decree and Achashverosh accepting the decree, the question is not about what will happen to the Jewish people. The Jewish people are going to triumph. The Jewish people are going to win. The Jewish people are going to be just fine. That's not the question. The question is about you, Esther. Will you be the one to have the opportunity to participate in the triumph and flourishing of the Jewish people? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It's going to happen. Do you want to be part of it? And Rabbi Stav said that every single one of us today is asked the exact same question that Esther was asked. We will triumph. The Jewish people is eternal. We will be fine. The question is, will I be able to say, Michael Whitman, will I be able to say that I was part of the effort that helped us to triumph, that I took the opportunity and I did what I could do? And you will be asked that question. Are we part of the unfolding story of the triumph of the Jewish people that has bumps and setbacks, but there's no question that we will ultimately flourish and triumph? Will we take the opportunity to be part of that? As I mentioned before, there is a huge spiritual awakening. It's true among secular Israelis. It's true, we see it here. More people attending synagogue services since October 7th, more college students attending Shabbat dinners all over the world than ever before. Will we be part of that spiritual awakening? Will we be awakened and increase our spirituality? And will we welcome those people who before now have not been part of the observant community and they're now coming? Will we welcome them and help them to integrate into a Torah lifestyle? Yesterday at ADATH, I told this story. There's a man named Shai Groucher, lives in Israel, and he's become quite well known in Israel for giving gifts and other types of assistance to bereaved families, God forbid, to people who are wounded, to the families of the hostages. He gives them gifts and he helps them, and he's become quite well known, just an amazingly righteous, kind, generous person. And recently he said he's observed a very interesting phenomenon. He would go, let's say, to visit a family, nebuch, bereaved, or a family of a hostage, and maybe he would bring them a present. He would bring them an iPad. And when he comes to them, they say to him, "Thank you very much, but you know what? We would rather have a pair of tefillin." Secular Israelis. He might bring a present to someone, a cell phone, a new cell phone, a present. And a woman might say to him, "Thank you very much, but I would actually prefer if you would bring me candlesticks so I could light Shabbos candles." He recently went to visit Ohad Ben Ami. He was recently released from Gaza after more than 500 days as a hostage and tortured in Gaza. So Shai went to visit him. And Ohad asked him for tefillin. A secular Israeli, he had never put on tefillin before in his life. He asked for tefillin. And then he asked for another present. He said to Shai, "I want you to teach me how to say Havdalah." Havdalah is the ceremony we say every Saturday night that as we usher out the Shabbos and prepare for the new week. Ohad says to him, "I want you to teach me how to be able to say Havdalah." So Shai says to him, "Well, I'm happy to do that, but today's Monday. We don't say Havdalah on Monday, we say Havdalah on Saturday night." And Ohad says, "Yes, I understand that. But when I was a hostage in Gaza, and there were a couple of us there, saying Havdalah was very, very important to us. Because as Shabbos would end and the new week would come, we would say Havdalah, and it would give us hope, and it would give us strength to be able to make it through the next week. And I was never able to say it myself because I didn't know how to do it. I had to listen to others. So I want you to teach me so that now I can make Havdalah." One more true story. I may have shared part of this with you before, but I learned a new part of it. A few weeks ago, another hostage was released. His name is Keith Siegel. Also, a secular Jew, Israeli, American, living in Israel for a long time, a secular person. When he was freed and brought home, he asked that someone should teach him how to say a bracha, a blessing, before each food that he eats. And he told this story. It's a remarkable story. We've heard that from time to time throughout this whole terrible ordeal with all the torture and the terrible things that are happening, from time to time the hostages were able to hear or to see a moment of Israeli TV or hear radio, little moments here and there that they would hear. So this man, Keith Siegel, happened to be able to see Israeli television for like 1 minute, and what was on the TV was a restaurant critic doing a review of a restaurant in Tel Aviv. That's what he was able to see. So this restaurant critic, he's in this restaurant and he's served a dish, so he's gonna taste the dish. And he's going to tell people if it's good, if it's not good. That's his job as a critic. He's doing a review of the restaurant. So, but of course, it's in Tel Aviv, and it's in Israel. So this restaurant critic has the dish in front of him, and he takes a bite of whatever it is, and before he does, he says the bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Borei Minei Mazonos, and he eats the food. And that's what Keith Siegel sees on television. And Keith Siegel thinks to himself, it's a remarkable thing. I'm in this terrible situation. It is a miracle that I've survived this long, and that was early in this terrible saga. And he came to the realization, it's not normal that I'm surviving this. It can only be that there is a God who he had never recognized before, never thought about before. But he realized it's the only way that it's possible that I am still here is because there's a God that's looking out for me. And when he heard this man on television make a bracha, a blessing before eating food, he wanted to be able to do the same thing. Of course, they were starving him, but whatever little he had to eat, he wanted to be able to make a bracha, to make a blessing, to acknowledge God and to thank God for the little that he had. But he didn't know how to make a bracha. And the little piece he saw on the television, it was so fast and so short, he didn't get all the words. He only heard the last three words, Borei Minei Mazonos, blessed are you, God, King of the universe, who creates sustenance from the earth. And he heard the last three words, Borei Minei Mazonos. And so every time he would eat any food, the little piece of pita, the little small amount of water, he would just say those three words, Borei Minei Mazonos. It was his way of starting to serve God. And when he came out of Gaza, he said, teach me the brachos. Teach me all the blessings so that I can say them to thank God and acknowledge God before everything that I eat. Israel will triumph. The question we must ask ourselves this week is the question Mordechai asked Esther. Will we take for ourselves the opportunity to be part of that triumph? To be among those who bring it about? Will we be able to say about ourselves that we participated in the glorious unfolding of Jewish destiny? My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.